Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Zornica and I'll be the moderator of this online session on behalf of the school selection platform Untitled. The topic of today's webinar is the MBA program at Essex Business School in the UK. The Essex Business School is highly appreciated for its liberal culture and focus on sustainability and entrepreneurship, which is valid especially for its MBA program. If you'd like to learn more about the webinar, I've just pasted in the chat the official webpage of the Essex MBA, as well as the school's profile on Untitled, where you can do also 2 quick tests and see how well the school's culture fit your own values and how its MBA offering matches your individual criteria. I would like to now welcome our panelists, Emily Dale, representing the admissions team at Essex Business School, and 2 of the program's alumni, Georgiana Enake and Jose Antonia Aguilar. We will start with a presentation of the Essex MBA, its formats, advantages, and application process. And then Georgiana and Jose will share with us more about their experience at Essex and how it contributed to their professional and personal development. Your questions are very welcome. So if you have any, please type them down in the Q&A section of the Zoom, and also you can do this in the chat box. And we'll take the time to address your questions at the end of the webinar. Now I would like to give the word to Emily to present herself and the Essex MBA.
Thank you. I'm just going to share my screen. Lovely. Can I just check you can see that okay, Zorni? Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, so hello everyone. My name is Emily and I am a recruitment officer for Essex Business School. So for today's session, we're going to welcome you to Essex Business School and tell you a bit about the school itself and why we're unique. We are then going to talk about the Essex MBA and what we offer on our MBA. We will also look at the support available here at Essex Business School. After this, I'm going to hand over to 2 of our recent alumni, Jose and Georgiana, who are going to tell you about their experience on the Essex MBA and how it has supported them in excelling their careers and businesses. Like Zoe said, we're also going to finish with a Q&A, so please do send in any questions you may have. So the Essex MBA is based at our Colchester campus in our state-of-the-art carbon neutral building. Completed in 2015, the building is constructed of wood and glass and was designed on strong sustainable principles, a reflection of how important sustainable business practices are to us and our school. Our building has sustainable features such as an internal winter garden, a rainwater pond, and lots of fantastic open studying spaces for you to study in and enjoy. It is a really inspiring setting for your MBA studies. Essex Business School is the largest department at the University of Essex, and our current student numbers are in excess of 2,000 students. Nevertheless, we work hard to make sure our students feel part of a vibrant and friendly learning community. We want people to feel like more than just a number to us. Our MBA cohorts are usually a maximum of 25 people to ensure everyone feels they can contribute and get the most from their studies. We're champions of responsible management and sustainable business, and these themes affect everything we do. You'll see this in our teaching, but also in the design of our eco-building. We also embed this ethos into our teaching in an effort to promote business and entrepreneurs that benefit and improve wider society. If you choose to study at Essex Business School, you will experience some cutting-edge facilities. Colchester students benefit from a practical education with our state-of-the-art Bloomberg trading floor. Students can access real financial data in almost real time to help them build company profiles for their project work, as well as experiencing how to execute trade deals and monitor the stock markets. The Colchester campus is also a very short walk from dedicated student accommodation buildings, supermarkets, and all the local amenities. We also have a dedicated bus service which takes you to the town centre and the local train stations. If you are interested in finding out more about our campuses, you can find a virtual campus tour on our website. So on the screen now is Nicholas Forsands, and he is our MBA director. Nicholas's background is in international business and corporate strategy. Nicholas is extremely passionate about the MBA and dedicates a vast amount of time to embedding innovation in programme design and delivery. securing world-class academic and professional accreditation while collaborating with businesses to create fantastic learning and career opportunities. Again, if you'd like to find out more about Nicholas, you can read his full profile on our website. So you will have heard through today's presentation and in our marketing that the Essex MBA is accredited by the Association of MBAs, AMBA. This means that Essex Business School is among the top 2% of business schools in the world. AMBA describes its accreditation as the gold standard for management training around the world and is highly respected by managers and leaders globally. The AMBA affiliation can add huge value to your MBA qualification and make you stand out against other candidates for jobs. Therefore, here at Essex, we are incredibly proud to say that our MBA is AMBA accredited. So our course is for business professionals looking to challenge themselves to expand their knowledge and skills and to advance their career, and the best way to gain this experience is to get involved with real-world business. This is why we invest significant efforts on forming links and engaging with industry and business. We ensure our modules include business simulations inspired by real-world business events. Studying with us on the Essex MBA is an excellent investment in your future career. We connect you with the latest developments in business by bringing in practitioners and leading companies to talk about contemporary business issues, as well as experts in the MBA graduate jobs market. So our MBAs choose Essex because they want to take part in hands-on learning, where doing it is more important than learning about it. We include project management simulations, site visits, and startup support management throughout the course to ensure our students develop the practical leadership and management skills they need for their future careers. The Directors Workshop on the MBA gives you the opportunity to relate current business issues to content taught in your modules to develop your professional skills. Recent examples include sessions on personal branding, new business creation, business ethics, risk management, and company visits to the likes of Cambridge Science Park and HSBC. The Essex MBA is structured around 8 core modules known as the Mba Essentials, and then an additional 4 modules based on Essex Business School's distinct areas of expertise. These modules are known as the MBA Toolkit. You will also have the opportunity to select an elective module that is aligned to your interests and aspirations. These are followed by the Capstone, which is the accumulation of the practical directors' workshops and business simulations that run throughout the year. And this is your opportunity to complete a consultancy project, business plan, or traditional dissertation that relates to your personal interests and those aspirations. So many MBA students have ambitions to start their own businesses or may even already be running their own business. And through collaboration with our Essex startup team, there is lots of support available to help you with that. So our Startup Hub provides hands-on business support for students and is located in our thriving SME community on Parkside Office Village. The Hub is jointly coordinated by our employability and business teams to help students throughout their entrepreneurship journey. The Startup team offers a series of events designed to support the practical elements of establishing and accelerating your business, covering everything from accounting and cash flow to understanding the latest technology advancements. Also provided through the Hub are 20 specially selected business managers who volunteer to mentor businesses in the Hub. There is also a network of trusted professional service companies, lawyers, accountants, and bankers on hand to support you with your business ventures. The last part of the startup support from the Innovation Centre I wanted to mention was funding. Students can pitch to professionals at the Innovation Centre and potentially receive up to £30,000 of funding to help them establish their business ventures. So if you would like to apply to the Essex MBA, so to be considered as a standard MBA applicant, you'll need an undergraduate degree in a relevant subject, which is equivalent to a UK 2-2 or above. If you don't have this, then you'll need to meet an increased work experience requirement instead, which means you'll need 5 years of experience, and this will need to have been at managerial level. As a non-standard applicant, you'll also need to write a 2,000-word essay outlining a range of business situations that you have experienced and identifying what you have learned from them. If English isn't your first language, then you'll also need to meet our English language requirements. All MBA applications must include a personal statement, and the university has provided a guide to writing a personal statement, and this can be found on our website. In order to assess your work and other experiences, we'll need to see an up-to-date CV. Just like when applying for a job, we'll need a CV to include full details of your current and previous work experience. Again, guidance on what this needs to include can be found on our website. If your application is successful at this first stage, then you'll be invited to attend an interview. This will be conducted online as a video call, and we'll email you a link to a booking system so you can choose a time that works for you. So that's an outline of the application process. Lots more support and top tips can be found on our website, and you can of course contact myself or our team at mba@essex.ac.uk if you have any questions at all. So that brings me to the end of my part of the presentation. So far we've seen the way the programme is designed to support you with your career or entrepreneurial ambitions. Now I'm very pleased to introduce you to two of our former MBA students, Georgiana and Jose. Both are going to spend some time discussing their MBA experience and how it supported them in their career ambitions. Then we're going to invite yourselves to ask Georgiana and Jose any questions you may have and have a bit more of a discussion about the MBA at Essex. So I'm going to hand over to Georgiana and stop sharing my screen so she can start us off.
Hello. Yeah, hi, I'm Georgiana. I'll introduce my first self. I'm from Romania, and I decided to do an MBA because I didn't knew which way to go with my life, and I was like, I want to go into entrepreneurship, but I don't have the skills yet. And the moment I got accepted to Essex, because it was my first choice, I said this was the best decision I made in my life. And after 4 or 5 years, I don't know how many years I finished, I still hold that opinion to myself, like it was the best decision of my life. And I remember I asked one of the professors, like in the beginning, when everybody, like you had people from all types of walk of life. Some people had experience in the workforce. Some people knew what they want to do after. This, I don't know what I want to do after I finish. And they looked at me and they're like, when you're going to finish, you'll know. And I'm like, it's only a year. I've been on this journey for so many years to figure out what I want to do. And going into this MBA, being aware it's going to be a challenge that's going to shape my future, I was like, okay, I'm just going to dedicate myself for a year to do this because I was full on. And when I finished, during the program, I started learning about big data and how companies are using it to predict our behavior and everything that you see, like the commercials and the marketing strategy, like how the world is starting to change. I decided I want to go into that direction because I was also passionate about how the brain works and why we make certain decision. And I got the job at a very big market research company. And I was like, for me, that was the proof of being able to put your head down, do the work, be humble and listen to others when they're telling you something. Because I was skeptical, like, I don't know if they know, but I think having experience with so many people over the years, they know, they kind of see us now. I'm looking back at that old self and they're looking at us like, yeah, I see people who are like lost as you and we know how to guide you, because it isn't just, yeah, this is the material, you go and learn. What I really liked about is the openness of every lecturer there and how available they were for us. I feel that this particular MBA program teaches you actually how to learn, which I think is one of the most useful skills we need in our days, because the world is changing so fast. It changed even faster than when I joined. And if you know how to take the information and couple up the data and come with a hypothesis and use that to prepare for the future, you are set up for the future. So, and the way also we are learning this today, but we'll also look at the future. like, the case studies and what other companies did well, what other companies, uh, what mistakes other companies did. It was something that we were exposed to every day. Another thing is like the cohort, like those people in the beginning, we were strangers, we became friends, and then we became family. Because even it is competitive, it's also cooperative because we you'll have a module, for example, you'll have like to do your own thing, but you also have like group work. And I didn't know back then, and we always talk about this, and even now, it's like people don't value the group work right now, but they will see how it's going to serve them in the future because you are actually dealing with so many different types of personalities. And I think now, because I'm working with different people, it's like, okay, which one are the skill set of the people that I'm working with, and what is their personality type? Because let's say, for example, you're at the table and you have an introvert, but who is very, very smart. They won't come and share their ideas. Like you need to set the tone for that. So those are like a few things that actually set me up for success. And I see the MBA as a professional journey as a personal journey. And this is something that one of my cousin who did an MBA years before me, he gave me the best piece of advice. He told me this: there'll be moments when you want to quit because it's gonna be hard. Like I'm not gonna say it's easy, um, but when those moment comes, you need to think about one thing. This year is gonna shape the next 40 years of your life. And I was like, I don't think that's true. But looking now, when it's like, as I say, years later, it's like I didn't just finish, and how it transformed my life and the way I look at everything. Um, it's amazing, and it's like because after I going into the job force in UK, I'm from a different country. I don't know anything. Speaking of the resources that you guys offer, it's one of them is like how do I build my CV? And just having someone who is going to sit next to you and teaches you how to do that, and then you have someone else who is going to teach you how to do an interview, like those. Because when you do something for the first time, practicing, it's going to give you the tool when you go into the real world and actually have a real interview to be better than anyone who comes in and it's their first time. So all of that, it was like, for me, it was the perfect combination of a social life and professional personal life. It was like you just sit in your room and you learn. It wasn't just you go and have fun. It was a combination between those two. And I also remember I would say this MBA had such a big impact on me. When I submitted my first assignment, um, I worked so hard on it, but it was the first. So if you ask me now, it was bad. But I was like, oh, I'll never gonna finish. I'll never gonna be able to do this. And the thing that I've learned is like you can improve. And that's like if I would take my first paper and my MBA dissertation and compare them, it's like I'm a totally different person. And that also gives me the trust in myself that I can do hard things when I say I'm gonna do them. So it's like it depends how you look at it, but it's worth it if you put in the effort because when COVID happened, so I used to live in London. I had a job there, as I mentioned, and then I came home for a holiday, and I was like in Romania, where I'm from, and I was like transitioning jobs, and I was like had to start that. And in those moments, like I think it was during winter when all of this started, me and my parents were talking like, okay, what do you want to do now? Do you want to go back or do you want to stay here? And I thought COVID is going to be just, something short as everyone. And I said, well, for now, I'm going to stay here. And COVID, well, everyone know what happened. It's like we're 2 years later and here we are. But also I was like, okay, what are the skills that I have and how can I apply it to what's happening? Because in this moment of disruption, there is an opportunity. And if you look at it like that, you can take advantage and build something amazing. If you look at, I'm just going to wait in my house, not doing nothing and not fight for something that I really, really want, you're never going to get it. So all this mindset was by me being able to be put in different situation and being able to learn and grow. And as I say, speaking of disruption right now, there is a lot happening. I read the study, and I think, I don't know, till what year, you have like the first 500 companies in the world, and they will stay on the top for a very long period of time. And now they'll be there like only for 17 years or 15 years, like, and it's dropping. So that it was like that shows the disruption. That shows how fast we are really moving. But I wouldn't knew how to look at any of this or how to understand any of this if I wouldn't have the base that this program gave me and the support. I think also the people, and when I say the people, is like the lectures, the support on campus, the way even the campus is set up is the most important thing. Because when you have an overall experience that's great, you always want to go back. Because this is how I feel. I always want to go back. I feel like there is a part of me that will always be there, and there is a part with me that I took from there. I feel like I came in as a person and I finished as a very different person. And every time I look back, I'm so grateful for doing this and trying. Even if I'll say the biggest risk was to never finish. Like you also have to be aware of that. And I'm I know some people don't think about that, but yeah, everybody when they are starting something like this, they are scared. It's an investment in yourself. It's a risk. You can't know the future. But also I'll say if you go here, you have the right support and the right system and the right people that will actually help you improve in your life and achieve what you want to achieve. And also, I don't know if there's something happening there, but everybody's centered to help someone else. Like I didn't saw the individualist type of thinking of no, I need to get in first. It was like no, I'm okay. How can I help others? So that shows you a very different world from the one that I'm coming from. And also, I think being open and let myself immerse to that, it also had a huge impact. And also, I would say the diversity, because we had people from China, Australia. I used to live with people only from USA on the accommodation campus. So, talking to different people and hearing different perspective, you get exposed to all of this. So it's for me, it's a combination of everything. And it's the practicality behind it, because I still apply the things I've learned 7 years later. Like it's practical. It's not just here's the paper, go research, read, and stuff like that. And speaking of research, I remember we did a whole course on how to use the library, and then they taught us how to do research. And I think that is something that I still use, and I will always use how to do research. It's something that when, as I say, when you learn it, you're like, how would I use that? Actually, we live in a world where we need to know how we get our information from. So.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Georgiana. So hand over to Jose now to say a bit about your experience, and then we'll open up to questions.
Thank you, Emily. And I love, I really enjoyed listening to Georgiana, because this is one of the things that you will live when you finish your MBA and you get to see your other classmates or people that went through the program themselves. It's very like, for example, I was listening to you, Georgiana, and all the things that you say about your heart is there, but the MBA at Essex will always be with you. Or even listening for what you said about the study of the 500 companies, and the top 10 still will be there for just a period of time. And it's just like, I want to be with Georgiana drinking a coffee to tell her that, for example, if those companies are in Mexico, they will be there not just for 10 years, they will be there like for 80 years, you know, because there are certain places that all these business ideas, you know, you have to think it or to analyze it in the local context, right? But this kind of conversations will only get to happen when you live the same, you know, in the same environment with the same concept. So well, I'm not going there because this will be a coffee in the future with Georgiana and all other MBA classmates. But I want to talk about my experience. I am Jose. I am from Mexico City. I am based in Mexico City, and I currently run a nonprofit organization whose mission is to tackle racism and other forms of oppression, call it gender violence, call it sexual orientation discrimination, people with disabilities, or other kinds of oppression, but mainly racism. That was like the first motivation for the existence of this organization. But what I do now, it's all related with what I lived in the MBA at Essex. And well, I want to tell you a little bit about previous to the MBA. I was an entrepreneur. When I was 25 years old, I launched the first LGBT magazine in Mexico. It was the first LGBT magazine of a commercial, let's say, like approach, no? Because you could find, if you were in Mexico City back in 2000, 2001, 2002, you could find fanzines, right? Printed very basically. But I imagine to having a magazine, a professional magazine like GQ or like other kind of magazines. So I launched it in 2006. It lasted for 6 years. It was a very good project. But obviously, I was very young. I didn't know so much about business. I was like eager to speak my mind and to visibilize the LGBT movement in Mexico. We accomplished a lot of things because being in the media helped you to, for example, push for several rights, right? So in Mexico City, we accompanied several Congress people to accomplish the same-sex marriage in Mexico City. So this was a very good experience. But in 2012, the magazine had to close due to several problems that back then, of course, I understood. But for a while, I blamed myself of that. In my mind, it was a failure. So I was blaming myself. And I was like, started having this interest to study more about business, about marketing, about finance. So I started looking for a program, and I found Essex. No, in Mexico, in the country, you will find a lot of alumni from Essex, not exactly from the business school, but more from a human rights school or for the government school, which is also very famous at Essex. So I said, well, let's go to Essex. It's nearly enough from London, but not with the prices of London. So I decided to go there. And when I arrived, my brain exploded because I found a school whose approach to business back then, when I was studying there was several modules talking about the business responsibility or business and sustainability. Back then I was thinking like, well, probably I don't need this. No, I really want to know more about finance, about marketing, about management, and about leadership. So I had that idea in my mind. But surprisingly enough, that module helped me a lot with what I'm doing right now in my organization. Also, we were talking about Professor Jay Mitra and other professors that pushed you to think about what you can do, no? Because many of the people that go for the MBA think about, well, when I go out of the MBA, maybe I can find a job in a big company and I can, be part of those teams, which is all right. And of course you can do it. But what I liked about the Essex MBA is that the professors pushed you to have your own idea and be an entrepreneur. I remember Professor Jay Mitra, he was saying like, well, your story about the magazine is great. So probably after the MBA, you go out and chase another entrepreneurial dream. But I was like, no, I won't probably be entrepreneur again. It was like a hard, it's emotional, it's spiritually challenging experience. So I won't probably do that, but well, it's okay to learn this, no? So the entrepreneurial spirit is something that sticks to you and never goes away. And Essex MBA really, pushes you to go there. Another thing that I really enjoy about the Essex MBA is the diversity. Just Georgiana said it before. You can find people from all over the world. And, that was something that I was reading before I get to Essex. And I was like, well, this is like a marketing thing. No, they want me to know that it will be full of people from all around the world. But this is really, really important because in my experience, you can, grab the trends of what's people thinking all over the world. Because your country, and the place that you come from is not an island, it's connected to the world. And you can spot some trends, For example, this is a very good thing that happened to me. I wasn't talking about racism until I arrived to Essex. And now I became a specialist in racism because all the conversation that I had with people from Europe, with people from Asia, for example, with other people from Latin America that live racism or experienced racism in their own countries. How does it look like? What are the common characteristics? No? So this is very, very important. And another thing is that, well, of course, you will have classmates in your MBA cohort, but the university is very, very big. And something that really also helped me a lot with what I'm doing right now is that in the flat that I stayed, and I hope you will see photographs of the Essex University of Essex campus, which is very big and it's beautiful. It has its own flair and its own very, very particular spirit. And I stayed in the Matthew Keys, which is a section of the university dorms. And in my flat, I had a lot of flatmates that went into the human rights masters. And, imagine myself being in the business school along with other human rights people. And we were having these conversations every day, like exchanging ideas. And something sparked in my mind. And I was thinking, how can business can be more responsible? How can business have more human rights approach? And also they were thinking about how can we open to other paradigms of fighting for human rights that is not so focused on the government or on the civil society. We can take advantage of what we have. So that put something in my mind that after I finished the MBA, and surprisingly enough, during the coronavirus crisis, I launched Racismo MX, which is the nonprofit that I'm working right now. And as Georgiana was mentioning, creating communities. And I started creating a community that wanted to talk about racism in Mexico. And nowadays, this community has grown to other people from Latin America that wanted to speak about this. Because I don't know if you are aware of this, but racism in Latin America, it's some sort of a taboo topic, no? Because we think we are a mixed race, so nobody talks about it. But creating these communities became very, very important for people, especially during the Corona crisis, because you all know that during the Corona crisis, we were all thinking about the inequalities, the differentiate impacts of the pandemic in different populations. So we are more aware of these inequalities, and racism is one of the factors of this inequality. So the MBA at Essex really, really changed my way of thinking, my perspective, and especially the people that are part of this MBA. Back then, when I studied, as I mentioned, Professor Jay Mitra, but other professors that really inspired me to use the tools that I learned to make this dream come true. And by the way, just to finish this, what Georgiana said is very, very true. Everything that you will learn, you will apply. This morning, I wake up very early in the morning because I have to deliver the annual budgets, past and future, of the organization. So you find myself, you know, using the finance and all the technical tools that I learned in order to run the organization with this humanitarian cause that we are after to accomplish, right? So well, that would be for now. Thank you.
I can see we have a question in the Q&A. So, did you want me to ask that first, or would you like me to do our questions? Oh, I think you're on mute still.
Maybe, yeah, maybe we can start with that. So it's a question from Sarah. She asks, she has the impressions that the MBA looks like a very hands-on experience, and she would like to ask Georgiana and Jose if they would like to share more about the Capstone, their personal Capstone project, or other similar hands-on projects they experienced during their MBAs. So Georgiana and Jose, I know it was a long time ago, but would you like to share more about the hands-on experiences you had?
I would like Jose to take the lead on this, and then I'll go after.
Okay, thank you. Well, my project, my MBA project at the end of the 1-year course, it was about innovation in small businesses. You know what I told you about my experience and my background. Of course, I come from the background of running a small business, and going a little bit about the experience of why the magazine closed back in 2012 is because we started with a very traditional business model, which was what, printing the magazine and distributing in different selling points and just sell it. And the main income of my magazine was from advertising spaces, right? So that was like the traditional business model. But just in the period of 2006 and 2012, all the industry changed and everything became digital. But I wasn't very aware of that. I wasn't keen enough to look at the trend. And of course, I didn't have the skills and the tools to get into the digital world. Although we tried, it wasn't enough until the market just forced us to close. Of course, that sparked the interest in me that I explored in the MBA, which is very important. If you're going to the Essex MBA, just try to solve and print in your project whatever interests you have previous to the MBA. So I started I want to know more about how a small business run not only by a guy like me, but maybe from families, traditional families that run a business. How can they innovate? So I started making research about it, and I was trying at first to use a lot of data, because that's another paradigm that you will face. People have the idea that the more data they use or the more mathematics they use in their project, there will be more professional and you will be more intelligent. No, just really break your stereotypes and prejudices. When I was doing the research in order to see what I was gonna use for the project, I discovered that there was several approaches to innovation, right? And there were very good debates on management theorists about how to cope with innovation in small companies. So I decided that my project would be a little bit more theoretical, than mathematical. So, but I was kind of when I was going to tell to my tutor and the advisor of my dissertation, I was like, oh, he's gonna say, no, you don't like mathematics, maybe you want to avoid numbers, and which is not true because I really like numbers. But I was so intrigued about the debate that I explained to him, and he said, okay, let's go that path. And your dissertation and your project will be very theoretical, but you just don't have to make a literature revision. You need to make a conclusion of yourself. And that was my project. I'm very proud of it. And that helped me to really, when I came back to Mexico and talk about innovation, I can, get in there and probably use these tools to make a very good advice of what's the best approach depending on the size of the company, the industry of the company, and the goals the company is looking for, right? So that was my project, and I was very happy and proud about it.
So happy to hear that. So yeah, for me, my project was actually an business plan, which we actually applied. So me and my brother had a business in clothing. And one of the questions, we had two questions because it's like the garment and clothing industry is like very competitive. But then you have companies, and I can give you an example in the recent times of like Off-White, who disrupt the markets. They're not huge yet, but they're doing something amazing. And we, being from Romania, one of our questions was like, how can we expand in different countries? Bootstrapping, like not throwing a lot of money in the marketing, we can't compete with big companies. And what is the gap in this industry that's missing? And what was interesting is like during my research, because it was like also practical, and when it's not like fictional, it's very interesting because you actually want to apply this to your own business. So one of the gaps that we found was in the middle class. Like you have like fast fashion, which is very cheap, not sustainable, speaking of that. And then you have high end. And I was like, okay, so there are a few in the middle, but even those, if you look at the history of the companies, they tends to the high end. Like they're not very affordable for everyone. And then we started studying like human behavior and what's going on, because I'm obsessed with human behavior. It's one of my things. And there was some interesting things. And speaking, I still apply this. So in a study, we found out that men would pay the full price while women would wait for like for the price to go down or stuff like that, which was interesting. So basically we found out that the full price, even if it is for women, they're like men actually buying it and give them as gifts and stuff like that. That was the first thing. And then was like, okay, what is the best way to do this? And we actually found out the best way, if you're a small company that's, start one or two, go up, is like multi-brand, is you go to collaboration. It's like we can't afford to open a store in, I don't know, Oxford Circus or Piccadilly or, like big brands. Then how do we do it? Well, you have multi-brand stores, and you actually, the way you work with them is very different because that their business, like we actually want to help brands like you to take off. So that was one of the most interesting things that we actually applied. And I used very different books and learning tool skills to do this. And I remember some of the books because if you're an entrepreneur and you want to build something, it has to come from something you care about. If you care about money, that's not sustainable. And I will tell this, if you want to make a lot of money and that's your goal, you're going to quit. You want to stay up nights working something and being bored, because I would stay up and work this. It was like the same problem over and over and over again until we're like, okay, we found a solution. Like it's boring. And one of the things that we cared about is like, we want people to actually afford this type of stuff. We want to offer quality. We don't want to, and also the way we set up even the factory, like we didn't go and take cheap labor. Like sustainability is something that we cared about, and then was like, we actually want to have an impact, like, and also inspire others to see that it's possible. So those are the few things that were like meaningful to us. And then it was like the way I think, and I would recommend everyone who wants to do business is to read the book of The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Like that's the best business strategy even now. Like I think it's the only book that we mentioned hundreds of years later that still applies. And then it was like, start with why. Like find your pain point, because if you don't find it, you just circle around. And then it's like also knowing when it's time to quit. Like, is this possible or not? And if it's not possible, how can I find someone who can help me? But that for us, and actually, we actually did it. We end up in a store in London and stuff like that, which was amazing. So, but it took a long time. And for me, it's like, I like practicality. I like to learn something today and apply it tomorrow. And then going through the process that I call the physics of progress. Do I make progress? Yes. Is this moving towards my goals? Yes or no? If it's no, then I'm gonna move away or change the strategy. But actually, also, that's the thing, because doing the business plan, everything is measurable. It's like, I've learned how to measure everything and being specific. Like, I want to get there by this time, or I want to do that. So that was very interesting, and it gets to the point that when you are very honest with yourself, and it's like, is this even worth it? Yes or no? So for me, doing the paper and actually apply it was a very great experience. So that's, yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you both. That's really interesting to hear about. I was just wondering if you could tell us about if you had a specific favorite module and what that module kind of involved and what the assessment on that module was and what you got out of it and things like that. Either of you can go first, whoever's.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the lead here. Well, obviously, entrepreneurship, that's my favorite. But I really liked many modules. For example, finance and the approach that finance is taught at Essex MBA with business cases, because finance, traditionally, we think about finance in a very mathematical way, right? Which is true, of course. But also, we need to have critical mind to make financial decisions. And finance at Essex, it's taught both ways, mathematical, but also critical. And in the critical approach at Essex, we made these business cases that make all the cohort to think. So that was one of my favorites. And another one which I mentioned is the business and sustainability, because with business and sustainability, of course, the goal is to have and have this reflection about how businesses can be more responsible, but also to know about the incentives a business have in order to make certain decisions that are sustainable. So I think those were my favorite, but I don't want to, I mean, I feel a little bit bad for mentioning these three because I really, really enjoyed all the program. So that would be.
Thanks. Did you want to add anything to Georgiana? Tell us about your favorite one at all?
Well, I don't have a favorite one. I have like impactful lessons, like, things that we've done, but I don't say like, oh, this was my favorite one. Like one that helped me and serves me still so much. It was the managerial economics. And it was like the way every financial system of every country works. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. And then there is one in leadership, because that was the first time I've learned about this, that Nelson Mandela is recognized by the best leader that ever existed, which that was like, and then I went to the leadership style of him. When you hear that, you're like, oh, and then, I mean, obviously entrepreneurship, because I'm an entrepreneur, so that's like self-evident. But yeah, I would have like this things that I would never think that had a massive impact, not just one course or, and sustainability. Like I never thought about a lot of this stuff. So for me, yeah, it's not like, oh, I had this favorite subject. The one that I didn't like, and I'll always use, is accountancy, because I'm not, in my country is so complex and my brain is like that. And when I came there, I was like, but you need to have like 1,000 numbers for this stuff. So, but that's the thing, is everything that, even if I like it, or the things that was the hardest, are the things that serve me the best right now. So yeah, for me, it was like lessons that really inspire me and case studies about different companies. So yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's not always just a module. It can be specific lessons that stand out and things, can't it? So yeah, that's really useful to hear about. Thank you. I'm just going to check the Q&A. There's one in there, Zornita. Did you want to read that out?
Yes, there's one more question. I guess it's more to you, Emily. One of our attendees is wondering how the school managed to run the program during the pandemic. Was it entirely online, and is it going to be face-to-face for the next intake? Because yeah, it's a common understanding that all this practical things, the networking opportunities, the diversity are better to experience face to face.
Absolutely, yeah. So when we were in the full depths of lockdown here in the UK, we did move all of our teaching and networking online through Zoom, so through platforms like this. And we also supported that with online learning resources, so things like Moodle, where we would post quizzes, we would post forums. So we were very keen to create that, the MBA experience, and replicate that as best we could online. Currently, the MBA, we're teaching the majority of it in person, but we use a method called blended learning, which means we can use online resources as well to complement your in-class learning. And by doing it that way, we're also now fully prepared that if COVID lockdowns are brought back in or any new restrictions, we can kind of click our fingers and move straight back online without causing any disruption. But moving forward, yes, the majority of your teaching and networking will take place in person on campus in the Essex Business School. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Emily.
Thank you. Okay, so another question from me for Georgiana and Jose. I was just wondering if you could tell us if there was a specific area on the Essex MBA that made it stand out to you through your application process, if there was a key element or something about the campus that stood out to you that made you choose Essex as your final choice.
Well, I would definitely say the campus because, and the building, like, I mean, even now when I think about it, it's incredible. I was fascinated by that. And yeah, the setup, everything is so, like, you don't have to leave the campus. It's like a city. And I like that, you have a lot of green and you have a lot of places to walk. So yeah, and also the ASU bar, because that's where we would hang out after classes or where we would meet, and even study. Like, it wasn't like it was this thinking of, okay, what do we do now? Where do we go? It's not like, oh, I don't know, I don't have a place to study as an excuse, because you have the pods where it was more quiet. I never really enjoyed that. I like when I work and stuff, hearing people, but then you have so many places, and and then you can close your books and your learning and go and have just a chat with friends and stuff like that. But yeah, the building and also the accommodation, like, I would recommend everyone to stay on campus from my experience, because it gets you closer to people because you're all in the same place. You have like different stuff. You're gonna throw some parties. But you're gonna do it together. So yeah, yeah, and also people respected each other to a degree that some people maybe don't expect, because I lived with 12 people. We all had our own rooms, but we would be like, yeah, respecting of each other. They're like, hey, I'm having friends over in the beginning. I mean, then we're all friends. And it's like, do you want to hang out? It's okay. And everyone's like, yeah, don't worry. Like, it's not like, oh, we need to study 24/7. So those are kind of the things, and yeah, the building, they're offering so much stuff and place to study and or get together. So yeah, I think I love the building the most.
Yes, I agree with Georgiana. I studied from 2014 to 2015, so I didn't use the new building as much as I would like to. But first of all, I'm a very big fan of, well, I'm not an architect, but I like architecture. And I think Essex School, well, sorry, the University of Essex in general, and the Essex Business School, you know, they reflect the time that they were built, and all the imaginary and the philosophy. So I really like the whole University of Essex, because it speaks to you about the time that it was built. And especially one thing that I still have dreams about, it's the Paternoster elevator, which is magical. I really like it. There's something that I enjoy about the University of Essex, is that elevator. And still it gives me a little bit the thrills, no, because it's scary, but it's magical.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think it gives me nightmares, Jose.
Yeah, exactly.
For anyone that doesn't know what a paternoster is, it's a lift that doesn't stop moving, basically, and you have to kind of jump in and jump out, which some people love. Others, me, not so much.
Exactly. And well, and finally, just what Georgiana was saying, this space is very important because it puts people together. And I was talking about the human rights flatmates that I had, that they were studying human rights. And one day they invited another classmate of them that she is Mexican, no? And I met her, and we were like, oh, Mexicans, you know, we get together as well. But now our friendship grew so much that she is now part of the board of advisors of my organization, you know, because she's a PhD in human rights. She's Mexican. We are friends since our time in Essex. So now we work together. So the space also gives you the opportunity to meet the people. So it's a very good advice that Georgiana gives you, that try to live there, try to live the whole experience.
Brilliant. Thank you both. Do we have time for one more question, Zornitza, or do you want to wrap it up?
Yes, we do have time for one more.
Brilliant. So I think the last question, I was wondering if you can tell us about making use of the additional support at Essex and at Essex Business School. So Georgiana, you kind of mentioned it, but in terms of making use of the careers team and the additional support available and the library and things like that, if you could tell us anything about that and how that helped you at all, that would be really beneficial, I think.
Yeah, and also I think right now, the most important is the mental health one. Because I remember speaking because you're scared, like when you come into a new system of learning, as I needed a lot of support. But what happened in the last few years, I think that, and having actually people to help and professional help on hand on campus, like, and also just the way people look at that, it's like it's encouraged. And I didn't expect that. But even that, because I combine everything, but I don't think I would be able to do anything without first going to that support system. And then learning like, hey, this is normal. You have stress. This is how you manage your stress. This is, and because after you manage that and learn that it's normal, then you can go out and go to the career hub, because I had no idea how to write a CV that will be like English, UK approved, because in Europe we learned something different. So that was, I think it was huge, because coming from an entrepreneur background, I also wanted to get a job to see how an employee feels when they're working, and that's very interesting. So and then having someone guide you step by step through that, and then setting up the interviews, as I said, and also I would say the lectures and the way they combine, like even if someone wasn't my professor, because this happened to me, and you have someone, let's say, from the human rights team that can help you in your project because you are focused on sustainability, they'll just put you in contact with that person. And I would say everyone in the business school, like everyone on that team, like they would help us with anything, all the students. And it wasn't like one thing that now I'm like, it's impressive. It's not like you would ask a question, you have to wait 1 week to get an answer. They will try to sort it for you as soon as possible. So that for me is still impressive. The way, as I say, everyone is hands-on, but I would say like all the support and the care, like you can see that the system is really caring about their students, and also even the SU system, because that's like student union, for people to know, is like set up to encourage students and what do they want, what activities do they want to encourage. So it's like it's like a place that you just want to stay there for as long as you can. It's like a magical place. But I think those are super important, and as I say, and also people pointing you into the right directions and know how to offer supports. But yeah, I mean, I think if I go now, there will be like 10 more facilities that I didn't use. So yeah, there's a lot, but I would advise people to use them.
I just want to say, just because Georgiana just said it all, and I agree completely. And this approach of being there for you, it's something that it's embedded in the culture of the Essex MBA. For example, one time in the cohort, we were talking about that we needed a little bit more information or other kinds of approach regarding marketing, right? And I thought back then the director of the MBA was Professor Mitra, Jay Mitra, and I thought he was going to say, well, watch this documentary or read this book or whatever, but he organized a whole round of conferences about the topic that we were interested in learning more. So that speaks about all the attitude and the approach of being there for you. You really need you really want to know this and are interested in this. Well, I'm gonna organize a whole round of conferences about this topic. So that's just the example, the perfect example of the attitude of being there for you and giving you the resources that you really need to succeed in the MBA.
Well, we have so much to share, but I'm afraid we're running out of time. So I would like to thank everyone who attended this webinar. We hope it has helped you make your decision to apply at Essex. We learned that this is the Essex MBA is a truly transformational experience that would help you realize and maximize your potential. So on behalf of the Unimai and Essex team, we would like to wish you success in your academic journey, and are looking forward to staying in touch. And don't forget that the applications for October 2022 are open. And thank you a lot, Emily, Georgiana, and Jose. It was really a pleasure to meet you and to learn more about the MBA at Essex. I'm wishing you a great day and hope to stay in touch.